Two mates, one obsession, cars. We're here to talk, drive, and occasionally bin it in the name of automotive passion. From dream garages to the latest car news, this is the Ditch Finders Podcast.
We've got Luke back again.
Didn't mess up the first time. Honoured.
You did,
honoured.
You did well,
for a
mate.
second try.
I know.
This is like a second interview.
Exactly. Second interview. We'd come back a little redder in the face this time. Got a bit of sunburn caught at Goodwood last weekend, but
Well, me and
pleased to be
Tom's
back.
hand, you read, yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, this is a family channel, right? So I can't show this, but I have my linen shirt on, and this part here, I've got to cream up, and I literally have a V
Oh, no.
that's like a different shade to the rest of my body. So
I think Jake's got a similar V as well.
yeah, it's not a good
Which,
look.
actually, now I mention him, we recorded on Tuesday before Goodwood, and Wednesday I managed to get him a rogue ticket to what happened to be the same day that we were going as well. And so we were cursing Jake for not coming, and he ended up coming down with us.
Much to my surprise when I picked you up.
Yeah, we knew about it. Me and Luke know about it, and we kept it from Joe.
Cheers, guys.
But it was great. Jake can't be with us because not only is he in Italy, we have just found out within the last hour him and Beth have got engaged. So massive congratulations.
Whoa! I didn't know that.
Yeah. Luke didn't even know.
Yeah. So yeah,
Jake, if you're
literally,
listening, congratulations. That's huge.
it's mega, absolutely mega. So happy for you both. So we'll let you off not being on the podcast for that good reason.
Amazing.
Right, so I think the plan for today is to do a bit of a breakdown of our day at Goodwood, what we liked, what was good, how it maybe compared to last year, and just generally kind of recap on what is always a crazy day. There's so much to take in, and now we've had a few days. It's Thursday that we're recording, so we've had 4 days or whatever to get over it, to work out, where it sits this year and what we think. So, yeah, Joe, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, second year in a row for us, isn't it, as a group? And much repetition, I guess, in terms of the event set up as last year. I don't think it's the kind of event that changes every year and chucks spanners in the works with new stuff to go and look at necessarily, because it's just a proven concept, isn't it? It's one of the best events out there in the automotive calendar. And yeah, they don't need to do anything new really for it to be so good and to come back every year. So yeah, top line thoughts, another top year. I think it's as much for me about us lads being together and experiencing it all together as kind of just being a selfish car enthusiast. But yeah, top day. A lot of the cars from last year were there, a few new ones as well. So it's, that's kind of a big pull for me for the event, is seeing and actually be able to like sit in new cars that aren't even out yet, and seeing them dynamically go up the hill as well and hear the sound and stuff. So yeah, top day for me. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, absolutely the same. And again, like you said, Joe, I think they've pretty much perfected the event. It could not change for the next 25 years and I'd still be going and having as good a time as ever. So props to Goodwood for putting on another amazing event this year. The main thing I was going to say was really the day started first thing in the morning, right? It even starts before you get to Goodwood. The England quarterfinal was actually the night before and went on a bit later than we were hoping. And I think we probably got collectively between four of us about 10 hours sleep. So we were definitely running on fumes. But obviously in the morning we got up bright and early. Tom, you very kindly took me down in the F-Type. So that was awesome to ride passenger in that car. It's my first time. And going through the country lanes and feeling what that car can do was really awesome. But the reason I bring up early in the morning is, for me, on the way to the event, that's what Goodwood was all about. And as we were getting closer to the festival site, we saw this Porsche GT4 RS, I think, that was on Japanese plates that had the most outrageous livery on it. And then there's another car that joins, and before you know it, you've got this convoy of people that you don't know. And then as we were pulling into the festival site over the hill where you can look down into the car park and you can start to see everything, Tom, you put on Eric Pryd's Liberate, which is one of those all-time Forza songs. And genuinely, as we were pulling in behind Joe, you and the M2 and seeing the festival in front of us, I got genuine goosebumps and like the hairs on my arm stood up. And that was that feeling of we've arrived, like the big day of the year. And for me, it's as close to Forza Horizon as we're going to get. And I know that's something that us boys have played and wanted to try and experience in real life for a very long time. So yeah, that was my take really. It was from start to finish a fantastic day. And for me, getting that feeling driving into the festival in the morning with a load of people in amazing cars that you don't know is an incredible feeling that's hard to top.
For me, it's the wider weekend as well. I mean, the Goodwood actual festival itself is unbelievable, but the way we've done it over the last 2 years, where we either, like this time we went down the day before, we had 90 minutes of paddle, which is just a great way to kick things off. It was like 30-degree heat, but
it was 105 minutes.
Was it really?
Yeah.
We were sweating, and then a couple of pints afterwards, and it just kind of really sets the tone for the weekend, and it was just mega. You kindly cooked for us, and we had dinner, and it was great. Watched the football, got up, and to Goodwood. Like you say, you summarize it really nicely. It's like the closest thing you could possibly get to Forza Horizon, which for us is the dream, right? I think if somebody said to me, here's an unlimited budget to a degree, and you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything, you can do whatever you want, I'd say absolutely, that's what I want to do. I want to do Forza Horizon in real life. And but bar the music, it's kind of there.
It really is.
It really is. So, yeah, but the whole weekend is just unbelievable. And it was quite nice. It was my first time doing an actual trip in the F-Type. And obviously that was something that changed as well with Jake coming down. There was a good enough reason to convoy down 2 and 2 in the F-Type and the M2.
Yeah, well,
and it actually worked so well. And I'm so glad I was able to do a proper trip and take it down. It was quite nice. But it kind of made me jealous when you were talking about, on the last episode, driving into the thought of what was before going in your car, Luke, and at the time you had the Z4, and being able to then turn up in your car that you've kind of, almost your dream car that you've really worked to get hold of and then be able to take. And I was like, oh man, I've gutted that I'm not taking that. I was really looking forward to going the M2. So then when it kind of worked out, it was like, okay, this is cool. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, like you both mentioned, like the build up and driving there, seeing the cars, it's like Forza Horizon when all these cars meet up at the start of each game. I think
it's like the first cutscene. The first cutscene where you're driving and all of a sudden this car pulls off on the side of the road and all of a sudden you're in this long line. It really is. It's like the opening cutscene and like IRL.
It's such a beautiful part of the world down there. Was it the West Sussex Downs?
Yeah,
just south
Sussex.
of that, maybe.
Yeah.
Really picturesque, very hilly. And in terms of like the scenery, like really beautiful. But yeah, it's just like that moment when you get out of the cars and you can just hear these these dirt rally cars shooting up this hill. Just that first sound of engine you hear just gets me so pumped.
I'd arguably say that one of my favorite parts of the day, if not the favorite part of the day, is that drive there.
It's all part of it. It's all part of it. It's not just the festival, it's the drive there and the drive back. And I think we'll have to touch on the drive back maybe at the end and talk about the little tunnel run that we managed to get and the couple of other cars that we saw on the way back. So maybe we'll save that to the end. But the other thing for me, when you were saying, Joe, about pulling up to the car park and you get out and you hear the cars zipping up and down and it starts to get you excited for the day ahead. What we also saw was the dreaded plume of dust just rising above the trees. It was worse this year than I remember. I've seen a few Instagram reels of like, I think I'm going to die in this house and like increasing saxophones. Cause I mean, it was bad this year and you could see it as you pulled up, just going over the trees. It was like, oh.
I think because it'd been so dry to the build up to it this year as well, that everything was just so dry. All the grass was dead. Like it was so dry and dusty that I think it just exacerbated the issue.
Yeah, for sure.
It really is.
Here's a question for you guys. Now that we can compare to last year, and we went on a Friday last year, how do you think going on the Sunday compared? Was it the same in your opinion? Was anything different? Did you prefer it? What do you think?
I was definitely excited to go on the Sunday this time. I was slightly apprehensive in terms of it's kind of like the last day of any long, any event that's multiple days. You kind of half think like, are all these guys on these trade stands like absolutely knackered and just want to go home by this point? They've all got sunstroke.
Yeah.
The drivers are all given up or gone home. I was slightly apprehensive that it would be almost a bit quieter and like just a bit more lackluster because everyone's just tired that's hosting the event. But I was super keen to see the shootout because we've never seen the shootout properly. And, the Sunday's the day where the official times get set and everyone's pushing the hardest. So I was excited for that, and it turned out to be really good as well. So I'd say apprehension and excitement, but it was definitely, in the end, more excitement.
Yeah, it was great. I think on the whole, the day in general wasn't much different to last year. But to be honest, couldn't have told you if that was a Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday. Like they all seem, I think, to kind of hold the same kind of energy. Joe, same as you in terms of apprehension. I have to go to trade shows for work sometimes, and by the Thursday, everyone is completely dead and no one wants to talk to anyone, and you just want it to be over. So I think going there, I was like, oh, what are the people on the stand going to be like? I don't know, commentators going to be less energetic than normal. So I did have that same apprehension of, is this going to be an event side that's half closing down and the energy's through the floor? But actually, I didn't notice a massive amount of difference. As I say, if I'd have lost the construct of time and I didn't know what day it was, I would have thought that was like a Friday like normal. So I think in future years, I think going Saturday or Sundays probably a nice way of doing it. But also you do a Friday, you then get a nice long weekend. So yeah, I don't think it made a huge amount of difference.
No, I don't think either. I think potentially it was slightly busier, it being a weekend and the last day. I definitely noticed it was busier, but who's to say that's not because it was busier anyway, who say it was a busier year than last year, and that could be the reason why, or maybe it is because we went on a Friday last year. That would be the only thing I'd say. But it's not like you still can't get around cars, you can't get a spot on the hill. It's not like it's so, but when you go to a theme park when it's so busy and then you just have to, every ride's an hour and a half queue or whatever it is, it's not like that. It's so well spread out that I think even with it being at full capacity, you're still not missing out.
They must do pretty well with the tickets, like quite reserved, because they sell out definitely, especially on a Saturday, Sunday, they sell out at least a month before the event, surely. But you get there and it sounds stupid, but like just queuing for the toilet, queuing for a drink or for food, it wasn't really that bad. And so it kind of makes me think that they do hold it somewhat back in terms of the capacity to make sure everyone has a good time.
I've just had a look at how many tickets are actually sold. How many do you reckon they sell for each day?
I think I know the answer, so I'll let Joe answer.
I don't know the answer, so I'm going to guess. Oh, I might be so off here. I might just make a fool of myself. I'm going to say like 60k a day.
What do you think it is, Luke?
I think he's about right. I think it's about 200,000 over the weekend. Over the 4 days.
Yeah, it's 50,000 a day roughly.
Is
so
it?
yeah, you're thereabouts. Yeah, it's not a bad guess at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty big numbers, really. That's like a full football stadium, isn't it?
A big one, yeah, for sure. I think what's still impressive about it is it kind of remains one of the only places where you can still get within either touching distance or actually sit in a lot of cars, touch a lot of cars, rather than just going to the dealership, but in a place, in a setting that's about automotive. I think there's nothing else that comes close to the interaction that you can have with cars and brands, and even crazy stuff like you can't go to a Chimera dealership. Like you can't walk in some of these places and walk around the cars where there's no barriers, there's no limits, basically, and you would never get anywhere near these cars. So that, I think, remains to be beaten.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, it's like there's a lot of car. More so noticed this year than last year was a lot of car launches there. Like the first time you've seen these cars or these concept cars, or it's their first public debut or dynamic debut. So many this year, and like you can literally touch and feel these cars that aren't available at dealerships, aren't on the road. And then obviously on the flip side is the hill in terms of the cars that are going up there that might, you might have cars that are 20, 30 years old, but actually that's kind of part of it. These older cars that you just don't see on a road or even on a track. But at Goodwood, they're all just sending it up a tight hill climb.
In summary, 2027, take my money. We'll be back.
Indeed. I've already had a text from Goodwood to say we can book soon, I think.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. So let's move on to something that we spoke about on the last pod and as we're walking out of Goodwood. And that's something that isn't recognized within the festival. And that's accolades for whether that be best stand, the best cars that go up the hill, kind of best overall brand, and what we consider to be the best experience, and kind of give these brands recognition for what they did well and rinse them for what they didn't. So if we go for, let's think an atmosphere first, where would you consider which brand or stand or created the best environment?
Have you got an answer, Luke?
Yes.
You go first.
Porsche. Again.
Porsche, yeah.
Yeah,
Unanimous?
I thought you might be the same.
Yeah, that's
same all around.
unanimous. I mean, it was like premium without trying too hard. The stand was so much better than last year. It has like a good mix of heritage, motorsport, road cars, and special cars, and then just the actual buzz and the way that they set it with the DJ and the balcony and the veranda and the kind of car park, the whole thing. I think that gets as close on a stand as possible to summarizing all of the good things that we love about Goodwood. The drive there, the culture. It has way more culture than most of the other stands.
Yeah. It's almost for me like the Porsche stand is its own festival. Like that could quite easily be its own thing. And it's just a Porsche owners club that people love going to. But the thing for me that stood out the most, well, A, is when you first turn up and it's just open, you can roam around. They've got a DJ on. There's a terrace that you can go up onto. All the other manufacturers, you need car keys or you need to be a pre-order customer. They've got a bar that's selling all these drinks. Again, you've got this big open field that you can look over with all these Porsches everywhere. So for me, the accessibility and opening it up to everybody and just creating an atmosphere that's not snobby, that's not snooty, that feels accessible. And even though there's a car park of 20, 30 million plus pounds worth of car, if not more, you don't feel like you're in that environment where people are trying to flex their cash and trying to, show off to the next person next to them. So for me, just in terms of a laid back atmosphere, Porsche, there's no one that even came close to Porsche this year. And I think we said that next year, that's a great place to try and get to, maybe for lunch or something, like to just take an hour away from the festival and just relax and just recharge. It's just such a inviting, welcoming space. It's actually quite separated from the rest of the festival, so that it's just a lovely place just to sit down, relax, and really just soak up the atmosphere.
It feels kind of like the people's choice in terms of a stand, because there's no, like you say, there's no like extended hospitality for special owners. It's just everyone's welcome. They've got their own little barista cafe, and like their own pizza stand and everything. They had some really cool special cars as well. They had like the new liveried Toy Story cars from Toy Story 5.
That Buzz Lightyear one. Oh,
that Buzz Lightyear GT3 RS is one of the coolest cars. It's not necessarily the best car at the festival, but it is the coolest car, I think.
Yeah. So just like slightly different stuff. I think they just nailed like the stand layout in terms of how open it was. Just something about it, like it just feels very welcoming and like not claustrophobic, even though the stand was really busy. And actually, it sounds stupid, but the view over the car park, all them Porsches and then the public car park, like I say, it's just like a nice, like it's a great view. You can just watch that for hours, and it's just like a good away spot from a lot of the action. You need a breather.
Could you imagine doing that as a business? You replicate that as a permanent spot, a bit like a cafe machine.
Yeah.
You do it on a hill, car park at the bottom, so everybody can see their car, everybody's car's there, and you have a DJ in the mornings. It's a cafe, and you go for a coffee and a croissant, and then kind of midday onwards, you get either a DJ and you get a bit more of a vibe going, and then you have some drinks and like create so much more car culture around it, and in one space. And a car park, and it just works so well.
The other thing that they had was a big screen, so you could pretty much base yourself there and you could watch the hill climb and you could see all the content. And again, don't think there were any other stands that had viewing areas that you could actually just sit and watch the rest of the festival. So yeah, I wanted to be proven wrong this year. I wanted another manufacturer to come up trumps and beat Porsche out, but honestly, there wasn't anyone that was even in the same league. Porsche in the Premier League, everyone else was in League One, League Two.
Indeed. I think they could have done the same as what they did last year, but they just turned it up to 11 with the stand. It was just unreal.
It was bigger and more impressive.
I wouldn't even say they were necessarily the best last year. Like such an improvement even on an already good standard this year. But I think for me there were a few dark horses that weren't a million miles behind. So I think the Chimera stand, like for such a niche, low volume brand to have a big stand like that with all these cars, they've got like an exposed engine with the turbos, proper cool. And then the other two for me, one of them is very surprising because I'm not got a massive affinity to this brand, but it's actually Maserati.
Yes. I thought Luke was going to be the first to bring this up.
One of my points for later.
Yeah, fairly quiet stand, but it was just so nicely done. It felt very like Mediterranean and open. I think I don't think they had a DJ, but they had like some decently loud music playing. So I thought Maserati was cool. And then the last one, in terms of the actual stand build, was actually Lanzanti. I thought it was mega. It's absolutely huge. And they had the big screen on the back as well.
That was going to be my next question, is stand design.
Yeah.
And Lanzanti had quite an impressive stand.
I thought it was mega. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of my questions to you, Tom, is if you know a manufacturer and they're inviting you onto the stand, are you leaving your friends to go and explore the stand on your own? I'll answer for you, yes. You're very willing to do that. We were stood out the front watching you go around the vehicles. Yeah, we're like, yeah, Tom, we're over here. Like, just let us
just left us straight away.
He did. The chap did try and get us all in, but it wasn't happening, and kind of understandably so. So
you just went for cocktails, didn't you?
We'll let you off.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Gave us a good laugh. One of the other ones I just had picked out that I thought atmosphere-wise was really good was Cupra. I remember just walking past and they had a DJ out front.
Absolutely blasted music, wasn't it?
Good
he
vibe,
was ripping bass, and they had these like super stealthy Cupra vehicles. It was black and blue. I mean, it was just unapologetically what they want to be, right? It was like Asbo, like really stealth, abstract design. And like the music was aggressively loud. I loved it. It was great. Like I could feel the drum and bass in my stomach. I was like, yeah, I could vibe on this stand. I mean, no one was really on it, but it looked awesome. So props to Cupra. They're not trying to be anything they're not. We're just going to make this a pumping place for people to come and hang out.
One that I do want to mention from a stand design point of view, and it's not one that we actually went to this year, but we spent a really good amount of time last year, and I can't imagine it was very different, or we kind of knew it wasn't very different. And that's Rolls-Royce. They have that little courtyard bit themselves, and the way that they do it is so Rolls-Royce, it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Last couple of questions on this topic. Best customer experience. Was there anything that stood out for you? I know we've touched on a couple of things that really stood out for you from an experience point of view.
Question. Best customer experience. Oh, I think for you it'd be Lanzanti, wouldn't it, Tom?
For me, yeah.
we wouldn't know.
Yeah. I think BMW, for all its failures in recent years, the fact that they host people on that part above it, and I think on the stand itself they got a lot of staff, a lot of immersive kind of vehicle stands. I think BMW is cool. I actually think, again, back to Rolls-Royce last year when we had that really good chat with that woman, and like clearly we're not going to be buying a Rolls-Royce, but she was like really going out of her way to talk us through the car and the customers, and I got a really good vibe from Rolls-Royce. I think it's just about how welcoming it is, a big brand like that.
It's brand perception, right?
Yeah.
Again, for me, back to Maserati, I think that, again, Maserati could go quite premium and exclusive if they wanted to, but actually it was just a very welcoming stand. The doors were all open. You could sit in the cars. I could hear one of the sales reps talking people through it who quite clearly probably weren't Maserati customers, but he was really going out of his way to explain about the car and offering people to come and sit in. So for me, Maserati was just a very welcoming place to be. I didn't feel like I was stood on a stand where I wasn't made to feel welcome or, being kind of shamed at being there. So Maserati was a great experience.
And it's probably the only stand where you could actually sit in, touch, feel, and play with £150,000 cars.
Yes.
There's no other stands that are doing it of that car value. I mean, there's other stands like we talk about Chimera that have got millions of pounds worth of cars you can walk around, but you're not able to sit, touch, experience. And so that for me was, you can obviously do it on some of the more entry level brands, but that was quite cool, I think.
Yeah, and we all deduced that I want one of those Maserati Grand Cabrios when I'm 65 and retired.
I think
it
suits you, dude. I think it suits you.
Oh, it was stunning. In that blue with the roof down, it was, gorgeous car.
If we talk about display cars specifically, so the cars that they had on stand, who wins that?
Tough question, mate.
I've got an answer if you want to know.
Go on him.
Pagani.
Yeah.
Just from
Mega
an overall,
cars.
I know you can't walk around them. They're on a stand and you're...
Well, I actually understand that because they're like £5 million worth of cars.
Yeah. But for me, just the sheer level of car that was there and the spec on them was just insane.
Yeah, it was cool. I quite liked Audi with the RS2 and the old RS4. I like the brands that bring in older cars that are iconic and people don't see often. So quite a few brands did do that, to be fair. I think Renault had the old Renault 5 Turbo. Audi was pretty good. BMW had an M3 GTS on its roof. It always has a car on its roof. I thought BMW was pretty cool. And then again, Porsche had some of their old racing cars as well, didn't they? So, and like the Toy Story cars we've already mentioned. So quite a few on the shortlist for me. Probably Porsche or Audi.
Yeah, I honestly would agree with what you boys said. I think Porsche had the widest diversity of cars, and I think they were really leaning on everything from the heritage to some of the cool partnerships. They've even done a Soho house licensed Porsche, which is quite insane. So inside the fabrics and everything is all very premium and matches Soho house. So yeah, just in terms of walking around the stand as like almost a museum, probably the time I would have spent the most on. So yeah, I would agree that Porsche did a great job. One shout out that I forgot to mention was just quickly to Mini Cooper, who just built a pub just on the stand.
Yeah,
a lot of time.
That's
for
a
that.
good point. It was really cool stand.
Really cool.
I really like what you're doing.
Yeah. And they were like, what do the British people want? They want a pub. So we're just going to build a pub on the stand.
Yeah. And I think as a brand, they're really trying to position themselves as this lifestyle brand, aren't they? And I really like what they're doing.
Yeah, it's cool. Mini's always fun.
If we were going to sum it up and we were going to give, or you were going to give an award to one manufacturer for everything overall, whether that be the stand, the experience, the vibe, the cars going up the hill, the sound, everything, who are you giving it to?
I know. Should I jump in?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Honestly, maybe a bit of a curveball, but I would say Singer. And the reason I say Singer, I know they don't necessarily have a proper stand per se, but the cars that they did have on display on their model area by the auction, I can't remember what it's called. I mean, some of those cars are just unbelievable. Like, I took not many pictures because I was trying to be just very much in the event, but I took a picture of every single car that was on the stand. So the first thing is just in terms of presence, everyone was like, yeah, this brand has an incredible amount of style and it knows what it is and great positioning. But I think the main thing that sealed it for me was the monument statue thing they had outside the house. I mean, that was unbelievable. And I think for me, in terms of coming in as a manufacturer and making a stamp on the event, for me, Singer was probably one of the ones that I remember the most in terms of, oh wow, I really feel like I got to see and appreciate what those guys do. So a bit of a curveball, but that would be my choice.
It's not bad. You go next, Tom.
Mine's probably a little bit surprising. It's because I haven't really mentioned them, but from an overall point of view, I think I'd have to give it to BMW. And that's strange because I'm not liking a lot of what BMW are coming out with at the moment. I'm quite critical of them, but I think they had a good balance of stand, of being able to access the stand, whether you are a BMW owner or not, you could still get to a balcony at some point. I think the stand is so well located right in the heart of the festival on the side of the track that it feels right in the hustle and bustle of the entire event. So it kind of almost doesn't matter which way you go, you kind of end up back at BMW, so it's quite nice. It's kind of a central point. They had a variety of cars on the stand. I think they nailed new cars. They had an M3 GTS just on the roof, which is just cool. So they got a bit of heritage there. And then the concept and the new class and the future of BMW was there too. So kind of overall brand picture, whether you kind of like it or not, I think you have to appreciate what they're doing from an overall brand point of view. And yeah, I think in some ways it reminded everyone why BMW is still one of the best performance car manufacturers in the world.
I think to follow on BMW, the Neue class, I don't know if we talk about it now or later on our impressions. I guess we'll cover it now if we're talking about BMW. I personally wasn't sure how to feel about it in person. I think I was going in with a bit of apprehension of how I was going to feel about that car. I know it's a concept car and it's just going to kind of inform the future design, but I wasn't certain on the car that we saw on the platform. But what I would say is the way that it was presented was cool. Like, it was in a big dark room. There was a screen at the back that showed it was on the road or whatever it was. There were these massive subwoofers like pumping this anticipatory music. So in terms of how you present a car and you create a bit of theatre around it, BMW did one of the best jobs on the whole day, along with maybe Range Rover, in terms of building a big atmosphere and an environment to showcase these cars in. So yeah, I would agree with what you said there, Tom, for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on the Neue Klasse. I think the way they presented it was really cool, and I think they've done a lot of like psychology behind that in terms of the lighting and the bass and everything. That kind of puts the hairs on your arms a bit, doesn't it? It does make me slightly concerned though if that was just out on the front without all of that. What our thoughts would have been, because they're not going to be at the level that we thought of the car, but, based on all that experience behind it all.
Yeah, I wasn't sold even when it was presented in a very immersive
I was very
emotive
critical,
way.
very, very critical when I first saw the kind of press releases on it. Really didn't like it at all. And I actually disliked it far less in person. I think there's some lines that the design language really builds on the current 2 Series and current M2. I think it's that sort of boxier, more angular design. And again, some of the lighting setup, I dislike even slightly less than some of the stuff that BMW coming out with now, like that new X5. I think the design language is poor there. So yeah, I'm actually less depressed about it, having seen it in person. Yeah,
and I kind of back up what I said a while back about it, in that I don't actually hate it. Don't like the powertrain of the EV version, but design wise, I'm not fully against it. I'm against a lot of what they're sending out at the moment, but overall, I didn't think it was too bad. But back to the question, I think Singer's a good shout. I'm actually going to say, and this will surprise you guys, I'm actually going to say overall, I thought Ferrari was quite a good presence there. We've commented on the stand last time about slightly snobby. You don't really get the access. You can queue. I think it was different to last year. You can queue this. You could queue this year.
Yeah.
And you could open the cars up and stuff and have a look inside. So that's an improvement. And I think the 20 years of the XX program was just fucking cool. Like the Enzo FXX and the FXX Evo LaFerrari was just mega to see them two go up.
Yeah.
And
they've
awesome
done some exhaust work on the F80 as well, right?
Yeah, sport exhaust. I mean, in 2026, that's very welcomed.
Yeah.
Also, why isn't a £3 million hypercar coming with a sports exhaust as standard?
That's a great question.
I bet it's $100,000 option as well.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it on an M car that you can option a sports exhaust, but on a £3 million hypercar,
the standard.
Yeah.
If you can sign it off in your homologation, why don't you just?
Could you imagine how much of an idiot you'd feel for buying one for £3 million before they'd bought one out with a sports exhaust? You know what I mean? Like, come on, Ferrari.
It's strange. But I think, with that and the F1 cars they always bring, I think overall Ferrari's just kind of always there, wasn't it?
Yeah, good presence. We've talked about manufacturers there that did a good job. So I want to flip it quickly if we can and talk about a manufacturer which I thought did a particularly bad job. And that was Jaguar with the Type 01 concept. I know this was always going to be just another conceptual camouflage kind of showcase, but the way that was parked out the back of the stand in amongst these trees. The camouflage was pretty much taped together with gaffer tape. It just was such a bad way of showing a car. And I know it's not the final copy, but at least for me, it looked thrown together. It looked like they didn't really care about it. It wasn't generating any interest. In other cases, people were kind of looking at it like, what is that? And what's going on there? And why does this look like it's been rolled straight out of a kind of car scrappage salvage site onto the stand? So at least for me, my viewpoint at the time was they would have been better off not putting it on the stand versus what they put out there. I don't know if you boys felt any
Especially
different.
considering last year when they made a big deal of the concept, they had an entire building dedicated to it. And whether you liked it or not, what they created, the vibe and the atmosphere they created around it was really, really good.
Lighting, sound.
It was a bit like the Neue Klasse, wasn't it?
Yeah,
very
exactly,
much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And it was, in this concept form, but it was like a finished product in a sense that it's got a fucking paint job. And you can see all the lines, and I appreciate there's probably slight deviation in the O1 because it's the actual production version, so maybe they can't give away the shape of it yet. But we all know roughly what it's going to look like. So why have you delivered it to the site with like gaffer tape and marks all over it? Very, very strange for me.
Really strange. Well, they didn't have any dedication to it whatsoever. Jaguar as a brand, nothing.
It's a shame because it's a cool stand,
The stand's amazing. I almost selected them from a stand design point of view because in the same way that Porsche has its own mini festival, this is like the Land Rover version of that. So, okay, they don't have a DJ on the stand because it doesn't really suit the brand, but they have individual like brands. So their Defender brand, their Discovery brand, their Land Rover brand, or their Range Rover brand, and cars within that. And then they have almost like this veranda outside, don't they? And all the cars parked up, you can go in, look around them, talk to people about them, the full range of cars that they've currently got on offer. And I thought that was quite smart.
Yeah, they had the Dakar, the Land Rover that won the Dakar rally, and they had the trophy in there. And like for me, that was cool. That was like, okay, you are showcasing the variety of the brand. You are highlighting great success with one of the vehicles. Again, it was almost museum-like where you could go in and take a look around. So that was all pretty positive. And the new EV had pretty much the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in a car. So that was all pretty positive. And then you kind of stepped out into the back where you're almost like, okay, does the stand keep going back here further out off the festival? And then there were these like 4 Jaguars just kind of parked up in this quiet back end of the stand. And the one that catches everyone's eye is this car that looks held together with gaffer tape. So yeah, it was strange. I think Range Rover, Land Rover, big thumbs up, a great stand and a great presentation. Jaguar just seemed like a real afterthought, just almost like they didn't quite know what to do with it and they just found a space to park some stuff.
They would have been far
back.
better off not bringing it whatsoever.
Yeah. It would have actually probably generated more interest if Jaguar almost weren't there and weren't exhibiting.
And I think as well,
like, there's nothing here this year, but maybe next year.
If you look back to last year, how busy the Jaguar stand was, that concept stand was probably the busiest stand.
The hype.
You couldn't get in there.
Good or bad hype, everyone wanted to look at that Type 00, didn't they?
It was a complate juxtaposition to this year, where there was just no presence or showing of it whatsoever.
I guess that was shortly after the rebrand that was just viral.
Yeah, it was massive. And they smashed it and they really owned it and they did really, really well. On a similar point, I want to talk about Mercedes quickly. They launched their AMG CLA 45 electric car at the festival. And it was so sad to see this empty stand, this one car, and just the only one interested in it was this child that could sit in it and rev the nuts off it and it produce a electronic sound of a combustion engine car. It was just really, really sad to see. Yeah, it wasn't good. And I think F1 is their priority. I think it felt like every single penny of their budget went into F1. So they've got a huge F1 stand, whether that be the pit stop challenge, the sim racing. There's loads. And then you go to what is effectively the manufacturer stand, and they've got one car on a platform and no one around it, and it was just pretty sad.
That was one of my points, was the synthetic noise on that car was just actually depressing. I think one of the lowest moments for me of the whole day was stood there, and I think as we approached the car, I could hear this noise of this car revving, and it was really quiet, almost like it's on volume 10. I could barely hear it. And then you could hear this kind of overrun burble crackles and pops, and I was like, oh, this must be just some speakers they've got around the stand to build some atmosphere. And then I think, Tom, you went round to the side of the car and realized there was a 8-year-old sat in the seat, like revving the shit out of it. I was like, wait, that noise is coming from the car. And I think we all just stood there for almost like no one said anything for 20 seconds whilst we listened to it. And we were like, if this is the future, like we want no part of this. This is bad. It was really horrible.
I don't get it. It's got an engine though. Like, is that a thing that's going to be on the production model? I really don't understand. Surely you just rev the engine.
No, it's electric. The new AMG CLA is electric.
The 45 is electric.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was all pumped, all synthetic. It sounded terrible.
It sounded
really
shit
bad.
anyway.
Yeah, it was awful.
Really
awful. Another thing that pointed out to me, and Joe, you spent quite a bit of time on in the interior, and the price of these cars, and the quality of things, and the design of things. I couldn't believe. Then you went on to some of the cheaper brands like BYD. MG was one that I'm sure we'll talk plenty about. We spoke on the podcast a few episodes ago, and we were talking about Chinese brands and how essentially they're undercutting the market and they're destroying the European automotive world. And actually, I think it's the European car manufacturers doing it to themselves, and they've created this gap. They're all trying to be this super premium. They're all chasing Porsche and Bentley to be this premium brand, but actually, that's not what they are, you know. And what you end up doing is having crazy, weird design and nothing that works. And you create this gap where you've got the likes of MG going, "Hold on, we can produce a car for a reasonable amount of money that's reasonably comfortable and tactile, and that people are actually going to want to buy." And that it's attainable. And that's what BMW used to be, and Audi used to be, and Mercedes used to be. And now if you want to go and buy an S5, I do dread to think what the price of a new S5 is.
And I think for me, I don't know if kind of most disappointing is something that we're going to come on to, but is tied to the same thing in terms of has car design and craftsmanship kind of gone backwards. I think when we saw the Audi Nuvolari in person, I was quite intrigued to see what that was going to look like. And again, just in person, that just didn't do anything for any of us. And I think it was the front grille. I think, Joe, you said it looked like an air conditioning unit. And it was perfect because you've got these weird fins that are like plasticky and angled at different shapes and just look strange. Mercedes have the plastic grills with no sculpture or aero or anything to them. It feels like, in my eyes, these cars are getting more and more expensive, and the craftsmanship and the materials is actually getting wound back and getting reversed. So that was something I noticed, especially on the Nuvolari. I thought it looked pretty cheap, and it looked like they had scaled back on a lot of the materials and the way that it was actually crafted.
Well, it's like every new model seems to have to be bigger, more premium, like more expensive than the last. And in doing that, they've actually like almost abandoned what made them really good in the first place. You know, being well made, good looking, good value everyday cars that people genuinely aspire to own. And then you've got brands like MG that step into that gap and go, here's a practical, well-equipped, technology-packed family car for 35 grand.
It's hard to ignore, isn't it?
It really is.
They just ain't got the brand really, but when they're that affordable and good quality, people are going to start jumping ship. I think we mentioned honestly on 3 or 4 different stands like this. I don't know if there's like some new manufacturing that's 3D printed. This the new kind of plastic mesh design that just looks like it's been printed on someone's garage 3D printer. It just looks naff, doesn't it? And it just looks like you just kick it and you just smash it to bits.
Yeah, and I think I noticed that it's not the newer Mercedes. It's probably the Mercedes that came out in the last kind of 4 or 5 years, the C classes and the G classes. The grille, it's a plastic cover, and they've got the kind of diamond design, but it's almost decals. Like there's not actually any sculpture to it. It looks like a sticker, and I'm pretty certain it is because it's flat. There's no embossment to it. And I remember seeing these and thinking, these are 60, 70, 80,000 pound cars. And that is probably I don't know, £2 to £3 bit of kit there with a bit of plastic and a decal on the front, and
I think it's
sad.
There's only so far the brand's going to take you if you keep producing things that people don't want, and if you keep reducing quality. So if you know, how do you see that as a value proposition when you go, right, we're going to take the brand and we're going to make a car, and it's going to have loads more plastic and cheaper materials and look awful. We're going to go the strange design that nobody actually likes and doesn't really function very, very well, and then we're going to charge you twice as much. There's only so long that your brand's going to be able to take you until people are going to go to MG. When I keep harping on about MG, and I want to, whilst we're talking about them, we sat in an MG S9 plug-in hybrid, and I've done a bit of research on this car. It's the only car I've actually gone and looked at after the show, and I was so impressed by it for the quality that you have, the tactileness of the buttons. Everything felt really, really premium, had really nice design, really simple, elegant. From a 7-seater car, it looks far nicer than the new X5, for example. The color was lovely. Everything seemed to just work and be intuitive. And there were screens of technology, but it didn't overtake the entire cabin like a lot of the European manufacturers are doing now. And I just want to run through some of the spec quickly, because there's essentially 2 specs. And if you go for the full premium spec, it's 37 grand. But with that, you've got 7 actual seats. It's not a 5+2. You've got, I think it's something like 2,000 litre boot. You've got panoramic opening roof, 12.3 inch displays, 12 speaker Bose surround system, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, 360 HD cameras, heated, ventilated and massaging front seats, ambient lighting, tri-zone climate control, powered tailgate, and then get this, 7-year warranty or 80,000 miles for 37 grand.
I mean,
37 grand.
There's some European hatchbacks that are 37 grand.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you don't get half that spec.
It was luxury. We sat in it, and Tom, I think you said, Luke, there was the dial in the middle, the selector, and you said, just turn that one to the right, and it snapped into place. It felt great. I was expecting it to feel cheap and tacky. And I have to say, I had MG down as the most surprising manufacturer of the day. I would normally have breezed past MG and not really given it too much of a thought, but just sitting in that car and taking a look around the stand. There's one that's a complete rip-off of the Ferrari, what's the SUV 4x4?
Purosangue.
Which, I mean, looks pretty similar to that. So, I mean, you can see where their design languages come from. But you're right, Tom, especially that one that you pointed out. What you were getting for your money compared to what else was at the show was night and day for me. The only downside I had on that stand was being squared up to by a Chinese robot that was roaming the stand, and
it was a little bit dystopian, wasn't it?
Yeah, his fist clenched, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. But apart from that, it was really, really impressive and quite enlightening. And I think, as you say, Tom, the way some of these manufacturers seem to be scaling back on build quality opens up the door for someone like an MG, who I'm sure right now are probably quite excited about the potential, being like, we can come in with a car that's affordable, that's built as good, if not to a higher quality as some of these other cars that are maybe 2.5, 3 times the price. So I think it'd be interesting to see, going back 10 years from now, if we go in, late 2030s, which stands are really kicking more than others. And we could see a bit of a changing of the guard here in some of the leading manufacturers.
I think you could. And it wasn't just that 7-seater either. S9. They had a cool little MG Go concept, which was like an Alpine A290 meets John Cooper Works. Really cool little thing.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And then even the Cyberster, I know it's an electric sports car, and I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of those. It's a pretty car. It's got scissor doors. You can't hate that. It's cool. It is cool. So as a brand, as a stand, and as a presence at the show, I think, and actually another note I've got here, that 7-seater of all the cars there, and there's the most unbelievable hypercars there, and sports cars and supercars and just the premium cars, that MG S9 plug-in hybrid was the only car that every single one of us sat in, spent time with, and actually looked around. Can you believe it?
Wild.
And it's kind of not sad, but as car fans and as car fans for all of our life, we naturally gravitate towards your BMWs, your Audis, your Mercedes, these European manufacturers that we've grown up with and we know do an amazing job of creating great cars. And it's a weird feeling seeing a bit of a changing of the guard in that sense. It was quite sad walking off the Mercedes stand, being bitterly disappointed by what we saw, and then stepping onto MG, someone who we wouldn't have expected, and being actually very pleasantly surprised by the quality and the way the cars had been built. So, sad, exciting. I don't know what the right way to say it is, but it's an interesting time seeing, as I say, a bit of a changing of the guard of the leading manufacturers potentially.
I don't want to talk about it for too long, but I think on subjects of MG, I don't know about you guys, I just felt in the air the Chinese takeover with BYD, Yang Wang. They released the Denza Z or whatever it's called, some 1500 horsepower supercar. It felt in the air like there was just like this Chinese
there was
cloud hanging over.
JQ as well. We didn't actually go to the JQ stand, but further up from Porsche, JQ were up there as well.
I mean, BYD had a warehouse.
Huge. It was huge.
Humongous. It was probably twice as big as any other stand that was on there. So it did definitely have that in the air of, okay, this is definitely changing in terms of where these cars are coming from and where the investment is. But look, it comes down to value for money at the end of the day. What are we getting for our money? And for me, on the day, MG absolutely provided the best value for money case that I saw.
Agreed. On to more exciting subjects. Best sounding car. Production and like road car and non-road car, because they have a slightly unfair advantage.
A road car, TWR Supercat.
So good. Yeah,
it's so good. And I remember we saw that last year and we thought it was good, and I was excited to see it again. And it just, again, when it came past, it just blew me away again, the noise. It was unbelievable.
And that's a new car. Like, how are they getting a new car sounding that good? Why can't other people do it? I don't know, because it's very limited numbers or what, but...
Yeah. For me, the best sounding car, it was ungodly. I mean, descended from God knows what part of the universe, was the Toyota Judd Formula Supra. That thing, genuinely. And we stood, this was the rotary. Was it a quad rotary engine?
Yeah.
We stood opposite where they pull out to go down onto the hill climb for the shootout. And we knew it was racing, and we knew that it was going to be sounding good. But I think as it pulled out, and it's not a big car, like it's actually quite a small kind of footprint. And as it pulled out, you could just hear the tone, even on the lower revs. It was like, that sounds just different gravy. And we were just waiting for it the entire shootout. And then it came past and it was quite literally deafening. For me, that was the standout car of the day. And I've seen it on Instagram a few times. There's been a few compilations of the best sounding cars, and I've literally watched it 10, 20, 30 times again, just to really re-experience it.
Last year, the Huayra R Evo, Huayra Evo R, stole the show from a noise point of view. This year, this actually took the mantle, I think. I think it was even better than Huayra. I thought it was that sound.
Absolutely screamed, didn't it? I still don't think you can beat, and I've always thought the V10s were the best, but the F1 V8s are just, they go through your stomach. They're just so loud. And just the way they bounce off the red line, oh my God. It's the best sounding car there for me, easy.
Definitely.
And then road car, I would go probably the supercar as well.
All the Gordon Murrays. I mean, they all sounded great.
Gordon
I think at one point we were eating lunch and we couldn't even see the hill climb, and we heard the tone. We were like, "Oh, that's a Gordon Murray. Oh, that's a T50." It just sound insane. And I've got a lot of respect for a manufacturer just being like, "Screw your sound regulations. We're just going to make this as ASBO as possible."
A note I've got here actually, Aston Martin. So in the supercar paddock, you've got Valkyrie, Valhalla, and it's great. You can walk around them, which is unbelievable. But I don't quite get why they haven't got a stand. It's a British manufacturer. It's effectively a home event for them. Yeah. And it's a company producing, Valkyrie, Valhalla, Vantage, DB12, Vanquish, DBX. Surely you'd expect to see a kind of a standout display at the show, and surely they want people to interact with the brand.
Does it come down to the marketing budget? I don't know. But yeah, you would expect them to have a stand there, especially, there's a point maybe last year where they were just launching cars every other week, weren't they? Like the Vantage S, DB12S. They recently unveiled the DBXS, which was there. So they had like a couple of cars in the first site or whatever it is called area. But I think they'll do really well with the stand. So I think they should budget in for next year. I'm sure it's not cheap, but
I think as British manufacturers, and being an event that's down in Goodwood, not a huge distance from where the cars are manufactured, for me it was a massive loss that they're not taking a stand, and I think they could do a lot with it. I can see them leaning into the British racing green everywhere with the main kind of colorway. You can have kind of the AMR element to it with the Formula One car, and then maybe having the Valkyrie and the Valhalla either side of it, leaning into the racing side of things.
There's
So
potential
for me,
to produce
it would be a
the best
smash hit.
stand. There's so much
100%,
potential there
100%.
with older production cars and the race side of things and the new stuff and the prototype stuff. They've got so much going for them that they could genuinely do so well, I think. And I think that's what the brand's missing, is that interaction.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, this is me slipping into work mode, given I work in the space of brands. But a great win for them would be doing some kind of James Bond partnership as well. Can you imagine like a James Bond
so
section,
cool.
like showcasing some of the old Astons from the movie, and
if
just
you think
leaning
about
into
it,
that storytelling? I just think it's a brand that's got so much going for it, and I think we all spoke about it on the day. It's sad that the company isn't operating at the levels that it should be in terms of financials, because it's a company that's very close to all of our hearts, and they make great freaking cars that look fantastic and sound amazing. And for me, as I told you boys in the day, I've always aspired to own an Aston Martin one day. I just love everything about the brand, the Britishness, the way they sound very naturally. For me, it's a brand that's got a lot going for it. So really hoping they can turn things around, because we want to see Aston Martin around for the next
Indeed.
few
And I
decades.
think it's more important than ever when you completely rebrand a brand like Aston Martin in the way that they have, and changed the cars, and it's quite a different brand to what it was 20 years ago. So at that point, it's really important that you get people interacting with your brand, because if you try and do what Ferrari do, they're so well established that people go to them. If you completely change your makeup of your company and then you don't invite people in, and you try and still be this premium brand that's standoffish and that you come to us, you're only going to do yourself a disservice, and maybe that's half the reason why they're in such trouble that they are.
Yeah, they had obviously most of their new cars there. I mean, the Valhalla looked amazing.
It really did.
That car looks amazing.
But
almost
it
more so
looked
than the Valkyrie.
amazing underneath a tent. Imagine what it would look like on a stand.
Yeah.
You can imagine them bringing the Vulcan. When you actually start thinking about their portfolio of what they produced, the Vulcan, all of those going up would be some of the best sounding cars on the day. I actually hadn't quite considered how many incredible cars they've made over like the last 10 years.
They really have.
Like, shows
the motorsport as well, like
Yeah.
So many historic motorsport cars as well. But
I mean, they've got the Le Mans Valkyrie now. They race GT3 in Le Mans as well, and the Endurance Championships. They've got so much going for them.
Yeah. Hopefully
Tell
next
you
year.
what- tell you what, one brand we haven't mentioned yet, Tom, if you look down at your top, McLaren. We haven't even mentioned them once.
No.
We didn't even go to the stand.
No. We saw the W1 up close, which looks amazing. I mean, we
That
saw
was
that
really
last
cool.
year. And I've seen videos of it going up the hill, and it just looks insanely quick. And yeah, love that car. Love everything that they're doing with that. But McLaren, wasn't particularly... But I know, Joe, you'd swung by on the Thursday and you said it wasn't particularly worth a visit.
Not particularly, no. They had a really beautiful car inside, which is something like their first production car, which is really old, really pretty car. But, and it's nice to see them pay homage to their history. But I would expect a W1 on their stand, and maybe the new 788 HS that they just launched. But I think that was available to look at in the hospitality, which is hidden away. So
Classic.
But yeah. We have rambled on quite a while. Is there any other key subjects before we wrap up our thoughts on Goodwood 2026?
I have one that I just need to get off my chest.
Fire.
And we went to the ice cream van to get 3 cans of fizzy drink. A 99 flake was £7.
Yeah, it's not good.
£7.
Disgusting.
I mean,
I know cost of living and everything. I know everything's gone up in price, but £7, like, don't
more
take
than
the
a
piss.
pint.
Genuinely just made me angry, and I just feel the need to voice that is
No, I think
daylight
that's a fair
robbery.
comment. I think that's
Yeah.
a fair comment. My final comments would just be thank you for another epic weekend, boys. Thank you, Jake, who's hopefully listening. What a weekend. It was so good to go down the cars. It's always, always good, and I can't wait to do it again next year.
It's an annual event booked out on my calendar now, I think.
Agreed.
I think we do Saturday next year.
Why not?
Because that, for me and you, Luke, that would be every day ticks off then.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done Thursday. Oh, no, you've done Thursday.
No, we did Thursday. It's when we went like 6 years ago, we did Thursday.
Oh, of course we did. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
we did. I forgot about that.
Thursday's
for sure.
good. Thursday's really good because you get a lot of unveilings on the Thursday, obviously, and everyone's going there for the first time, and it's the first time everyone's seen anything, and all this content is yet to be produced. So there is a buzz Thursday morning, but it's obviously not ideal in terms of the day. And I think Saturday's the best mix in terms of big names being there as well.
I'd quite like to drive down early Saturday morning, like we did last time, drive down before the event, head straight down there, because it's just an extension of that build up to the event.
I know what you mean.
But from an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So yeah,
I think the other good thing is if you boys are driving down in the morning, we're not rushing to leave. I know, like, we wanted to leave at a good time because you guys had to get back home. So I think there's probably time that we lost, maybe either side. I know we were late leaving because I was making shit coffee. And then obviously getting back, you guys wanted to get home because you had a long drive ahead of you. So I think, like, me hosting here the evening of the day we go to the event means we can just like soak it up until gates close, basically.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I think we do that for next year. But yeah, another incredible year ticked off. Lots of great talking points, and like I said, 2027. Take my money. Looking forward to getting it booked in.
bring it on.
Absolutely. The date's already announced, so yeah, I'll get it in the diary. No excuse from the missus then.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, chaps. Thanks for your time. Yeah, another very successful year. And we'll be back next year. Luke, I don't know what you want to do, whether you want to revisit again now that it's not talking about Goodwood, but you're more than welcome to come on.
Mate, we'd love you on any point that you think, if we're going to record and you're free, hop on, man.
I appreciate it, gents. Your car knowledge far exceeds mine, so I think the ship is best steered by you two as the skippers. But if there's a topic coming up where I could do a bit of a cameo here and there, then let me know. I think that could be fun if I jump on for 10 minutes and do a dream car garage or something else. So you let me know.
Nice one. All right. Thank you,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys. We'll catch you in a bit.
Ciao.